In the dawn light of Athens, while the marketplace still stirs with sleep and the first merchants arrange their stalls, a barefoot figure emerges from the shadow of the city wall. He is neither wealthy nor famous. His shoes are worn, his cloak plain. Yet in his eyes there is a fire, a restless flame of question and challenge. He walks into the agora and stops. He asks not for wealth, not for acclaim, but simply, "What do you mean by justice?" In that moment, the most famous philosopher you've never heard of becomes the most dangerous man in the city. This is Socrates. Chapter 1. Athens in the Age of Pericles. Around 470 BCE, in the deme of Elopus on the outskirts of Athens, Socrates was born to a stonemason sculptor father Sophroniscus and a midwife mother Phanerete. Encyclopedia Britannica. Athens, during his lifetime, was a city at its peak, and yet restless. Music, drama, art, and democracy flourished under the leadership of figures like Pericles. The Parthenon rose above the city, theaters filled with the citizens' laughter and tears. Philosophers and sophists debated on the steps of temples and in the gymnasia. But beneath the glow was tension. War with Sparta would erupt. Democratic ideals would strain under power and corruption, and the city's very identity would be tested. From his father, Socrates would have learned the craftsman's discipline, the patience of shaping stone, the eye for form and matter. From his mother, the intimate work of bringing life and attending beginnings. Yet Socrates sensed that what stirred in him was of another sort, a longing to question not only forms and lives, but the very essence of what it meant to live. He would not simply sculpt stone, he would sculpt the soul. In those young years, Athens might have seemed destined for an unruffled prosperity, but Socrates grew up in a city on the move, a city where young men trained as hoplites, women engaged in rituals, and debates filled the air. He was born into this world of possibility and contradictions. Chapter 2. The Unlikely Philosopher. Picture Socrates as a young man. According to sources, his appearance did not match the heroic ideal of Athens. He had bulging eyes, a snub nose, a stoop, a pot-belly, and often wore the same cloak and sandals day after day. Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. In a culture that prized physical virtue, sporting the ideal body, and engaging in martial glory, Socrates was awkward and plain. Yet his presence wasn't about looks, it was about presence. He wandered the city not with grand proclamations, but with questions. He asked tradesmen, politicians, poets, "What are you doing? What do you mean by that word? How do you know that's right?" In one telling account, the oracle at Delphi declared that no one is wiser than Socrates. Socrates, stunned, set out to test the claim. He visited the reputed wise, the politicians, the poets, the craftsmen. He found that many were skilled, but few recognized the limits of their knowledge. His conclusion: he might actually know less than those who claimed to know much, and that awareness made him wiser. Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. This radical humility, "I know that I know nothing," became his hallmark. It was a direct challenge to the conventions of Athens, where knowing and being seen to know were deeply valued. Chapter 3. War, Service, and the Turning Point. Out in the world beyond Athens's walls, Socrates served as a hoplite in the Peloponnesian War. History. In the Battle of Potidaea and other engagements, he is said to have shown courage, holding his shield extended when others retreated, rescuing comrades under fire. War, with its chaos and abrupt meetings of life and death, carved into him a deeper sense of purpose. Back in Athens, he did not settle for the life of a veteran citizen enjoying his reward. Instead, he walked into the agora. He questioned, he challenged, he disturbed. A city proud of its democracy, rhetoric, and cultural self-confidence found itself unsettled by a man who refused to brag about victory, who refused to rest on laurels, and instead asked, "What is courage? What is justice? What is the good life?" Through this mixture of soldier's discipline and philosophic inquiry, Socrates began shaping a way of life that felt odd yet compelling. He rejected teacher for hire status, avoided formal schools, and instead kept to the streets, the market, the public spaces, seeking not simply to impart ideas, but to awaken people to their own thinking. If you like this opening style and tone, I will continue with the next chapters, diving deeper into Socrates' relationships with his students like Plato, his trial and defense, the political currents of Athens, and the remarkable legacy that stretches into modern America. Would you like me to proceed with Chapter 4 now?
Chapter 4. The Trial of Socrates. In 399 BCE, Athens had recently emerged from the shadows of war and tyranny. The Peloponnesian War had ended with Sparta's victory, and the brief reign of the 30 tyrants had left the city fractured. Democracy had been restored, but the wounds were still fresh. It was in this volatile atmosphere that Socrates, at the age of 70, was brought to trial. He stood accused of two grave charges: impiety, for failing to honor the gods recognized by the state, and corrupting the youth, for allegedly introducing new deities and encouraging young men to question traditional values. The prosecution was led by Miletus, Anytus, and Lycon, citizens who felt threatened by Socrates' unconventional ways and his influence over the city's youth. The trial was held in the Heliaia, Athens' highest court, with a jury of 501 citizens selected by lot. The proceedings were public, and the atmosphere was charged with political tension. Socrates' defense, as recorded by Plato in his Apology, was both defiant and philosophical. He argued that he was a benefactor to the city, a gadfly sent by the gods to stir the Athenian horse from its complacency. He claimed that his questioning was a divine mission to promote virtue and wisdom. Despite his eloquent defense, the jury found him guilty. The vote was close, 280 to 221, but the majority decided that Socrates had to die. In the subsequent phase, Socrates was given the opportunity to propose his own punishment. Instead of offering a humble plea, he suggested that he should be rewarded for his service to the state. Ultimately, the jury sentenced him to death by consuming a drink laced with poison hemlock. Chapter 5. The Death of Socrates. Socrates' final days were marked by calm acceptance. As detailed in Plato's Phaedo, his disciples gathered in his prison cell on the day of his execution. They discussed the immortality of the soul and the philosopher's duty to seek truth. Socrates remained composed, engaging in dialogue until the moment the executioner administered the fatal dose. His last words, according to Plato, were a reference to a debt owed to Asclepius, the god of healing, suggesting that death was a cure for the ills of life. The manner of his death, a public execution of a man who had been a revered teacher, shocked Athens. It raised profound questions about the nature of justice, the role of the individual in society, and the limits of free speech. Socrates' death became a symbol of the tension between the individual's conscience and the will of the state. Chapter 6. The Legacy of Socrates. Socrates left no written records of his teachings. What we know of him comes from the accounts of his students, primarily Plato and Xenophon. Through their writings, Socrates' ideas have had a lasting impact on Western philosophy. His method of inquiry, known as the Socratic method, emphasized critical thinking and dialogue. It involved asking a series of questions to challenge assumptions and stimulate deeper understanding. This approach laid the foundation for the development of ethical theory and knowledge, influencing not only his immediate successors, but also philosophers throughout history. Socrates' emphasis on ethics and virtue shifted philosophical focus from cosmology to human behavior. He believed that knowledge and virtue were intrinsically linked, and that understanding the good was essential for living a moral life. This perspective influenced later philosophers, including Plato and Aristotle, and continues to be a cornerstone of Western ethical thought. His legacy also extends to the realm of education. The Socratic method has been adopted in various fields, particularly in law schools, where it is used to develop critical thinking and argumentation skills. The method's emphasis on dialogue and questioning remains a vital part of educational practices today. Chapter 7. Socrates in Modern Context. Socrates' life and death resonate in modern discussions about the role of the individual in society. His willingness to challenge authority and question societal norms echoes in contemporary movements advocating for civil rights, freedom of expression, and social justice. In the United States, the principles Socrates championed, such as the pursuit of truth, the importance of questioning authority, and the value of individual conscience, have influenced the nation's philosophical and political foundations. His example continues to inspire those who seek to uphold democratic values and human rights. Chapter 8. Socrates and the American Dream. In the bustling streets of modern America, amidst the clamor of ambition and success, echoes of an ancient voice persist. Socrates, the philosopher who once roamed the agora of Athens, continues to challenge the foundations of American thought and identity. His legacy, though centuries old, resonates deeply with the ideals upon which the United States was built. The Founding Fathers, in their pursuit of a more perfect union, were influenced by the principles of reason, justice, and the examined life. Figures like Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin, who valued education and critical inquiry, found in Socrates a model of intellectual integrity and civic responsibility. In the realm of education, Socrates' method of questioning and dialogue laid the groundwork for modern pedagogical approaches. The Socratic method, emphasizing critical thinking and active learning, has become a cornerstone of American education, particularly in law schools and liberal arts programs. This approach encourages students to engage deeply with material, challenge assumptions, and develop their own reasoned conclusions. In political terms, Socrates' trial and subsequent execution serve as a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between individual conscience and state authority. His unwavering commitment to truth and justice, even in the face of death, underscores the importance of moral courage in the defense of democratic values. In a nation that prides itself on freedom of speech and expression, Socrates' legacy challenges citizens to uphold these rights with integrity and responsibility. Moreover, in the field of psychology, Socrates' focus on self-knowledge and the examined life has influenced therapeutic practices that prioritize introspection and personal growth. His belief that an unexamined life is not worth living resonates with modern therapeutic approaches that encourage individuals to explore their inner worlds and seek understanding. In contemporary American society, where the pursuit of happiness and success often takes precedence, Socrates' teachings offer a counterbalance. They remind individuals that true fulfillment lies not in material wealth or external achievements, but in the cultivation of virtue, wisdom, and self-awareness. His life and philosophy continue to inspire those who seek a deeper understanding of themselves and their place in the world. As America navigates the complexities of the modern age, the lessons of Socrates remain ever relevant. His commitment to truth, justice, and the examined life challenges citizens to engage thoughtfully with the world around them, to question assumptions, and to strive for a society grounded in reason and virtue. In this way, Socrates' legacy endures, not as a relic of the past, but as a living guide for the present and future.